Are you inadvertently destroying your kidneys with the very foods you trust most as healthy staples for your golden years? Did you know that every bite you take, believing it to be nutritious, could be a silent strike against your vital filtration system once you pass the age of 60? In the next few minutes, I will expose 4 common everyday foods that most seniors are unknowingly over-consuming, accelerating kidney damage at an uncontrollable pace. There is a harsh reality I see in my clinic. Every patient who walks through my door with failing kidney function has been eating at least one of these 4 items. This failure isn't born from carelessness, but from the fact that no one ever told you that after 60, the rules of the game change completely. I am Dr. Mattheus, a kidney specialist with over 20 years of clinical practice. It has been heartbreaking to see vibrant men and women end up on dialysis, not because they neglected their health, but because the right information never reached them in time. These hidden attackers are sitting right there in your pantry, carefully chosen and believed to be beneficial for your heart or bones. I am going to tell you exactly what those 4 foods are. However, first you must understand the biological why behind their danger to the aging body, because knowledge without context is meaningless. Be sure to stay with me until the final section, as I will reveal a surprising, simple kitchen hack that can strip away nearly half of the hidden toxins from canned goods instantly. If you are over 60 or caring for someone who is, I urge you to stay present with me. Right now, please drop a comment with your age and a simple yes or no regarding whether you have ever had your kidney function tested. What I am about to share is more than just medical advice. It is a philosophy for preserving life, directly relevant to your health and well-being at this very moment. 1. Martha's story and the changing rules of health. Allow me to share with you the case of Martha, a 69-year-old retired professor from Pennsylvania with a very sharp mind. She was the definition of discipline, maintaining a morning walking routine, taking her prescriptions faithfully, and never smoking. Martha believed she was doing everything right. However, during a routine physical, her blood work showed a slight fluctuation in creatinine levels. Her primary physician ordered an eGFR test, a biological benchmark used to evaluate the filtration efficiency of the kidney's nephrons. While a healthy kidney operates above 60, Martha's result came back at 53. Instead of providing a detailed protocol, her doctor simply advised her to monitor her diet and return in 6 months. Martha went home with a proactive spirit and began researching nutritional methods on her own. She decided to swap all white starch for whole wheat bread and high-fiber bran cereals. Aiming to support her blood pressure, she increased her potassium intake by eating bananas and avocados daily. She even preferred canned tomato soup for lunch and replenished electrolytes with sports drinks after her walks. However, a harsh reality unfolded. 6 months later, her eGFR hadn't improved. Instead, it plummeted from 53 to 39. In a very short window, Martha had unintentionally pushed herself from mild impairment into stage 3B chronic kidney disease. That was the moment she was urgently referred to my office, overwhelmed with confusion. As I scrutinized the food diary Martha provided, I saw that every meal reflected the dedication of someone who truly cared about their well-being. I had to look her in the eye and explain that while these foods are considered healthy by the general public, they were actually toxic for her current condition. Martha was stunned because she had spent hours researching those choices. I explained to her that once the filtration capacity is reduced, the biochemical rules of the body flip completely. Foods that offer cardiovascular protection for a healthy young person become an overwhelming metabolic burden for struggling kidneys. Together, we established a personalized nutritional roadmap. As a result, Martha's eGFR stabilized at 42. Although kidney scarring is rarely reversible, we successfully halted the progression. Martha escaped the shadow of dialysis and continues to live an independent life in her own home today. Have you ever tried these healthy foods only to feel more tired? Please comment number 1 below right now. 2. Natural kidney decline and biochemical issues. We must understand what is truly happening inside Martha's kidneys. This is a reality that most Americans only realize when the condition becomes personal. After the age of 40, your renal filtration efficiency naturally declines by approximately 1% every year. Data from the National Kidney Foundation reveals that by the time you reach your 70s, you might have lost 25 to 30% of your kidney capacity without experiencing a single symptom. There is no pain, no swelling, just a silent shift on a laboratory report heading in the wrong direction. This inevitable decline fundamentally changes how your aging body processes the fuel you provide. The first issue involves phosphorus balance. As filtration wanes, the removal of this mineral becomes impaired, leading to a buildup in the blood known as hyperphosphatemia, which clinical studies link to accelerated vascular and renal damage. The most treacherous form isn't the organic phosphorus in whole foods, but inorganic phosphorus used as a preservative in processed goods. Your body absorbs nearly 90 to 100% of these additives compared to only 40 to 60% of natural phosphorus. This is a massive hidden discrepancy that never appears on standard American nutrition labels. The second issue is potassium regulation. Healthy kidneys act as precision guardians, keeping blood potassium at a very tight, safe level. When function drops, excess potassium lingers and can reach levels that trigger dangerous cardiac arrhythmias. The cruel irony is that the very foods marketed for heart health, bananas, avocados, and oranges, are among the most potassium-dense foods you can consume, potentially overwhelming compromised kidneys. The third issue is the protein load. High protein intake forces your kidneys into an overdrive state called glomerular hyperfiltration to process metabolic waste. While manageable in youth, this repeated stress accelerates the breakdown of remaining filtration units in older kidneys. This is a critical point for seniors told to prioritize protein for muscle mass, as that general advice must be modified once your eGFR drops below 60. The fourth issue is sodium. As renal function declines, so does the ability to excrete excess salt. Sodium accumulates, causing fluid retention and skyrocketing blood pressure, which in turn causes further structural damage to the kidneys. It is a self-destructive cycle. This is why I want you to comment right now. Have you ever been advised to change your diet for your kidneys? Were you given specific, actionable guidance? Please comment specific guidance or told to watch it, but no details, because in my 20 years of practice, that information gap is where most preventable damage occurs. 3. Real-life lessons from Robert, Margaret, Arthur, and Sarah. Let me share the stories of Robert, Margaret, Arthur, and Sarah, as their journeys highlight the critical intersection of nutrition and renal pathology. First, Robert, a 66-year-old retired firefighter from Texas, remained physically active and strong. Following general advice to prevent muscle wasting, he prioritized high-protein intake through protein shakes and chicken breasts. However, no one intervened regarding his eGFR, which had lingered at 55 for 2 years. At this filtration level, the excess protein became a metabolic toxin. Within 14 months, his eGFR dropped to 40. Progressing a full stage because he was following medical advice meant for a different clinical profile. Second, Margaret, age 73, dedicated herself to cardiovascular health after her husband's cardiac event. She consumed avocados daily and added massive amounts of spinach and potassium supplements based on online heart health trends. During short appointments focused on cholesterol, the dietary implications for her stage 3 BCKD were never addressed. Consequently, she was rushed to the ER with a potassium level of 6.5 mcll, causing life-threatening arrhythmias. While she recovered, she was shaken to realize that her efforts to save her heart were inadvertently crushing her kidneys. Third, Arthur, a 78-year-old recovering from cancer treatment in Virginia, focused on calorie intake through canned soups and electrolyte drinks. Unfortunately, his eGFR of 47 went unnoticed. The inorganic phosphate additives and sodium loads, often reaching 1,100 milligrams per serving, accumulated over months. By his follow-up, his eGFR had plummeted to 28, placing him in stage 4 chronic kidney disease. Arthur deeply wishes the connection between those canned goods and his kidney numbers had been made sooner. Fourth, Sarah, 64, newly diagnosed with type 2 diabetes in Minnesota, followed a high-fiber, evidence-based diabetic plan including whole grains and lentils. The issue was that her nutritionist was unaware of her eGFR of 54. Foods appropriate for a healthy diabetic became problematic for her compromised renal state. This wasn't bad medicine. It was the challenge of managing multimorbidity in a fragmented healthcare system where specialists don't always communicate. These stories remind us that in the golden years, precision in nutrition is not just an option, it is a necessity for survival. Have you ever followed health advice that unintentionally hurt your kidneys? Please share your story and comment number 2. 4. 4 foods to watch for kidney health. Let us now dissect these 4 food groups from both a biochemical and a life preservation perspective. The first group you must be hyper aware of is processed and deli meats, such as smoked turkey, ham, sausages, or cured deli meats. For the kidneys of an older adult in the U.S., this represents a double burden that cannot be ignored. The issue lies in the massive sodium loads used for preservation and the inorganic phosphorus additives. Imagine this: a single serving of deli turkey, roughly 2 ounces, can pack between 500 to 600 milligrams of sodium. However, the silent danger is the phosphate preservatives. Look for any word with the root phos in the ingredients, because your body absorbs nearly 100% of these, unlike the 40% absorption rate of natural phosphorus. The National Kidney Foundation has warned that these additives are the most overlooked hazard, directly hardening your blood vessels and destroying your renal filters. The second food group, and perhaps the one that surprises my patients the most, is high potassium fruits. I want to be very clear, I am not saying fruit is bad for humanity, but the rules change completely once your eGFR drops below 60. At this stage, superfoods like bananas, oranges, kiwi, or avocados deliver potassium loads that exceed the filtration capacity of a weakened system. Excess potassium in the blood is a silent threat that can trigger sudden cardiac arrhythmias. The wise solution is not to quit fruit altogether, but to make a sophisticated shift. Prioritize apples, blueberries, grapes, or strawberries. These are significantly lower in potassium and are documented to be entirely friendly to the kidney health of seniors. The third category is whole wheat products and bran-based cereals. This may sound contradictory to everything you have heard about heart-healthy whole grains. However, in the context of chronic kidney disease, whole wheat bread and bran cereals contain higher levels of phosphorus and potassium in a form that your body absorbs more easily than you might realize. The dietary guidelines from the National Kidney Foundation explicitly identify whole grains as a category to be strictly limited. A counterintuitive but scientifically sound piece of advice: when kidney function is compromised, choosing white bread or white rice is actually the safer option to reduce the chemical stress on your struggling nephrons. The fourth group consists of canned soups, packaged instant meals, and processed dinners. The damage here comes from the toxic synergy of high sodium and phosphate additives. A standard can of soup at an American grocery store routinely contains 800 milligrams to 1,200 milligrams of sodium per serving. If you are restricted to a daily sodium budget of 1,500 to 2,000 milligrams, just one bowl of soup consumes half of your entire daily allowance. The best fix is to prepare homemade soups using low-sodium broth, or strictly choose canned options labeled as having less than 140 milligrams of sodium per serving to preserve the purity of your bloodstream. Are any of these dangerous foods sitting in your kitchen right now? Let me know by commenting number 3 below. 5. 7 specific steps to protect kidney function. To empower you to take full control of your health story, I am proposing these 7 decisive action steps. First, at your next appointment, specifically ask for an eGFR test, not just a creatinine count. Write this down in your notebook right now. I would like to check my exact eGFR filtration rate. Second, if your result is below 60, request a referral to a renal dietitian rather than a general nutritionist. These specialists are uniquely trained to build a nutritional roadmap based on your actual biological numbers. Third, develop the habit of reading labels to identify phosphate additives. Any ingredient containing the root phos, such as sodium phosphate or phosphoric acid, is inorganic phosphorus and should be avoided. Fourth, start a revolution in your fruit basket. Swap bananas for apples, oranges for blueberries, and replace avocados with a small drizzle of extra virgin olive oil for healthy fats. Fifth, move entirely from canned to fresh or frozen vegetables with no added salt. If you must use canned goods, drain and rinse them thoroughly. This simple act can remove up to 40% of excess sodium effectively. Sixth, I advise you to take all your supplements and multivitamins to your pharmacist for review. Many standard vitamins contain potassium and phosphorus levels that can be harmful to weakened kidneys. Seventh, start keeping a detailed handwritten food diary for 1 week before your next visit. A simple piece of paper, is enough to give your doctor a realistic picture and make your consultation significantly more productive. Remember, every small change in your daily routine is a massive leap toward protecting your life and maintaining your dignity and autonomy over your own body. 6. Frequently asked questions and final words from Dr. Mattheus. Throughout my medical practice in the United States, I frequently encounter deeply personal questions from patients just like you. One common concern is how to bring this topic up without appearing to question your doctor's expertise. I want to reassure you that asking questions is not a sign of doubt. It is the hallmark of an empowered and responsible patient. You can confidently mention that you have been learning about the connection between aging and renal function, then simply ask if your eGFR can be included in your next lab panel. Every compassionate doctor welcomes such preparation and proactiveness. Another vital question is, if my eGFR is only slightly below normal, do these rules still matter? My answer is yes, proportionally. While stage 3A doesn't demand the same rigid restrictions as stage 4, this is precisely your window of opportunity to shift your health trajectory. Small, early adjustments always yield far greater preservation than drastic measures taken too late. Many also wonder if dietary changes can fully reverse existing kidney damage. To be medically honest, once past the earliest stages, a full reversal is unlikely. However, our primary mission is not to reclaim the past, but to halt the progression. Patients who implement correct nutritional adjustments early consistently reach a stabilized state that allows them to live vibrantly and avoid the dialysis center for many years. For most of you, this represents the vital boundary between living an independent, free life and one tied to medical machinery. To help you understand the power of information, I must return to the story of my mother. When she was 68, she felt perfectly fine and full of life. Every morning, she ate bananas to maintain her blood pressure, consumed whole wheat bread because of heart health advice from years ago, and chose canned soups for their low-fat convenience. She wasn't being careless. In fact, she was being incredibly thoughtful with the information she had, yet her eGFR had quietly slipped to 44 without a single warning sign. As a nephrologist, I know exactly what those foods do to the nephrons, yet my own mother was eating them daily, believing she was protecting herself. Once we discovered that number, we overhauled her nutrition, and her eGFR stabilized remarkably. Today, at 74, she is still cooking and walking every morning. Every time I see her, I shudder to think where that number 44 would be if we had discovered it just 1 year later. Closing remarks and wishing you well-being. I created this video because I realize a painful truth. I cannot be in every exam room when a doctor says watch your diet without providing a specific roadmap. But I can be here, through Kidney Health 365, walking beside you through every meal and decision. Right now, please leave a comment with one of 3 commitments. I will check my eGFR, I am making changes today, or I am sharing this with my family. Your share is a profound act of care for the seniors in your life who need this information most. If today's content has empowered you for your next medical appointment, please subscribe to the channel. You deserve to continue your life's journey with a sharp mind and healthy kidneys. I am Dr. Mattheus. Take care of your kidneys and protect those you love with the power of knowledge. I look forward to seeing you in the next segments on Kidney Health 365.